It's good to see you. I have traveled to faraway places. Far, far, far away where the people are different. I almost call this talk Same, Same, Only Different. But before we get into my trips to Thailand, you know, I've been gone for a few weeks and some things have happened over that time. For those of you who do not know, one of my favorite people, David, can you either lower the stage lights a little bit? Can you just lower the stage? Can you just lower the stage lights a little bit? Thanks. One of my favorite people in the world is Masaru Emoto. And he is the one who created the visual proof that thought influences form. And he's a Japanese man, and he did that by taking water, and at that time, the time that these photos were taken, he just typed a little word on a piece of paper and put some Scotch tape on a bottle and put the bottle on a shelf overnight, and then brought it back out the next morning and took a picture of it as it froze. And notice the difference. The water on the left is an ice crystal from a severely polluted source of water. The water on the right is the exact same water after he blessed it. And what that showed us is that we can change not only our world, but the world that we live in. One of the things that he did that I was so amazed about was he took a group of people to a lake that was so polluted people couldn't even get near it. It smelled so poorly. And they blessed it, and in less than a month, there were articles in the newspaper about how the lake was crystal clear, and fish that were not there before were now thriving in it. No one even knows where the fish came from, but now there were fish in it, and this world that we live in is a reflection of our thought. And even though he made his transition either Thursday or Friday, I think this international dateline threw me for a loop. I think it was Friday in Japan and it was Thursday here. At any rate, he flew off into the heavens, but not after showing us what beauty is. Love and gratitude. That's what happens when you think joy. Why do we say today's a happy day? Because our body looks like that and our world looks like that. And then I love you. And they say that the last words on his lips were, the last word was, and forgive me if this is a mispronunciation, arigato, which is thank you. He transitioned in thank you. So we had Masaru Emoto transition this week, and then a couple of weeks ago, we had our Nobel Prizes. And these are the Nobel Prize winners for physics. We have Isamu Akasati on the left, Hiroshi Amano on the middle, and Shuji Nakamura. And I have a little bit of the accent because I've been hanging out in that kind of a place. On the right, and you can't see it at the bottom, but they won the Nobel Prize for Physics for blue light emitting diodes. Do you know what that is? Those are LED lights. And isn't it fascinating that our sanctuary, while I was gone, had all of the lights replaced with LED lights? Thank you, Mary Love. These lights last forever. They last forever, and they take virtually no electricity to run. And the entire world is changing to a different way of lighting itself. Thank you. The other Nobel Prize was the Nobel Peace Prize. And here we have Malala Yousafzai and Kailash Satyarthi. The thing I love about this is she's a Hindu and he's a Muslim. And they both shared the Nobel Peace Prize for their work with children. She is the young girl that got shot by the Taliban for daring to go to school. And instead of dying, she decided to live and be a voice for, in particular, girls' rights. To have an education, not to be married off at 12 years old, but to have an education, and in so doing have a life. And he runs an organization in Pakistan where children that have been either sold into marriage or slavery or things like that can find refuge and come and live, and he will protect them and put them into an experience where they can put their lives back together again. And so these two amazing beings who are holding the light for children in our world won the Nobel Peace Prize. Yay. Yeah. You know, I'm sitting over in Thailand and checking out Facebook, and all of a sudden, something that we thought North Carolina was too backwards to ever have, was too conservative to ever approve. The Supreme Court set it in motion by saying to Virginia, oh no, we're not going to listen to you saying that the idea of a ban on same-sex marriage, that marriage is God ordained between a woman and a man, we're not even going to listen to that argument because it's so lame. And then that affected North Carolina to where, just like that, in our a family that I want to acknowledge. One is Mary and Deb got married in California years and years and years ago, and have gone to every state where it was legal to get remarried just to affirm it. And they worked tirelessly with the Campaign for Southern Equality to bring this about. And so finally, their marriage that was legal for a brief period of time in California before Proposition 8 came along and nixed it and all of that happened, is seen as a legal marriage in North Carolina. Yes. Legal, finally. Love is love. Love is love. Love is all there is. We want to experience love. So congratulations, I was sitting on my bed in Thailand crying, saying I should be there. I want to be on those steps. I want to marry anybody that would walk up to me and marry him right on the spot, set up a line, just marry. But instead I'm in Thailand, so go figure. Christy had to do it. So many things have been going on. So John and I went to Thailand. This was my gift to him, although he paid for it. He paid for it with his Delta frequent flyer miles that got us the plane tickets, and his Hilton Honor Points that got us this beautiful 27th floor suite in the Millennium Hilton in Bangkok. And going to Thailand was my gift to him for our 25th wedding anniversary, to be able to experience some things that he has dreamed about all of his life. And I got to tell you, we were happy there. We are happy here, but we were happy there. We had already spent a week together. I flew out to Los Angeles, and we had our second annual ministers conference where, yes, I did bring in the woman who sells the goddess wear so that we could restock our wardrobes. But we had 200 ministers come from around the country. And there is There's a difference when you're with someone who is not only your peer, but who understands the nuances of your life and what you do. And so it's just ministers and spouses, and we can let our hair down and talk about things and be together and see people that we haven't seen for a year or sometimes more. I was telling Ron I saw Nirvana. We took a group to Founders Church, which is the church that Ernest built. It's got 2,000 seats in the auditorium. It's amazing. But we took 200 people on the Amtrak, got everybody there, and then we went to the subway, got everybody there, and then we walked a few blocks to Founders Church, and they served us lunch, and it's a museum, and it's got Ernest's robe and books and pictures, and it was a wonderful experience. And then I had this weird feeling that I have been having for weeks, and some of you knew I had a little bit of anxiety about going to Thailand. I didn't know what it was. I went and got backpacks. Now, look at me. Am I a backpack kind of girl? But I knew that we had an 18-hour layover in Tokyo. And we wanted to see Tokyo, and that's great, but a lot of it was at night because we landed at 10 o'clock at night. We were going to be wandering around the city of Tokyo all night long, checking out whatever was open 24 hours a day. And so I bought us backpacks so we would just have our stuff close by. It was the night before we were supposed to leave, and I checked on the Weather Channel just to see what the weather was like in Tokyo. There was a typhoon bearing down on Tokyo. At that time, it was the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane, and it was growing. And so I waited till the morning, let John sleep. He woke up, I said, okay, this is it. You gotta call Delta right now and find out what's going on. We're flying into a typhoon. And so he called, and the ticket agent, because John's a bigwig with Delta, he's a diamond. And so they said, well, you know, Mr. Waterhouse, Dr. Waterhouse, you and I both know that they're gonna cancel this flight. So let's go ahead and rebook you before all of the people on all of the flights going into Tokyo are looking for another seat. So we went on China Airlines and flew, instead of into Tokyo, we flew into Taipei. And I know somebody said, oh, Taipei is my favorite city, make sure you see it. We had 2 hours in Taipei. And then we flew into Bangkok and got into Bangkok a day early, because we didn't have the 18 hours in Tokyo. So we were having a good time. We were flying around the world, and this is on what's called a boat taxi, because we were on a river, because Bangkok is on a river, and you travel around with the boat taxi. So I'm going to show you some photos of some of the differences in Thailand. They have different looking fruit. This is called dragon fruit, because the fruit looks kind of like a dragon. They have flowers everywhere. These are orchids. Orchids piled up. Piled up. This was the flower market, which was, I think, the only indoor market we were actually in. And it just has flowers piled everywhere. It was the most amazing thing. We had flowers in every room, in every place. We would go out into a hallway, there would be orchids. It was just amazing, and they smell good. It was great. They have different ways of shopping in Thailand. And as you can see, this is an indoor market, which is really very nice, because if it rains, you're not going to get wet. Is that monitor on? Okay. This is a typical shopping experience in Thailand. It's outdoors. It's kind of Smileys-ish. You've got tables and stuff laid out. And that's the way it looks more often, in that it is that crowded. And that's how people shop. They buy their food, they buy their clothes, they buy their shoes, they buy their household goods there. They go to the market and they shop. But more, and this is their food court. You sit outside. You spend a lot of time outside if you're not in your room. Yeah, there's really no place to go inside. So you spend a lot of time outside, and we sat there and we had wonderful street food. We had the best food of the whole trip in Bangkok that we bought off the street, of people with woks this big, and they're cooking stuff. And one of the things about Thailand is they have no word for no. The best they can do is not yes, which confuses them. So they're making all this food and you're going, no meat, because John's a vegetarian, and frankly I was happy to be there. Happy to be a vegetarian there. No meat, and they get, oh, meat? Yes, oh, meat. No spice, oh, spice. So I practiced a lot of patience and a lot of gratitude for whatever I got, because that was all I was going to get, so thank you, I was grateful. So that is the outdoor market, but more than that, there were lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of temples. Lots of temples. There'd be just a doorway that looked like an alley, and you go in it, and it opens up into this temple. And it was amazing. All of the temples and all of the beautiful decorations, the work, the carvings, the attention that went into the outer acknowledgement of their spirituality. Isn't he cute? Look at that, look at that. And here's a close-up of those tiles. They are not painted. Those are individual pieces of ceramic or stone or whatever it is put onto each tile to make that or that. So we had wonderful experiences in the temples. We went and saw the Temple of the Reclining Buddha, which I jokingly, probably very discourteously called the Lazy Buddha. But that's gold. And that's just the head. To get the entire body and to go around to the other side, it's 150 feet long. The Temple of the Reclining Buddha was amazing. It was just amazing to be around so much attention. And everything was in very good repair. Everything was very clean. Everything was taken care of. And then we went to Chiang Mai, which is northern Thailand, and went to a wonderful resort that was almost to the Burmese border. John had booked it, I think, when he was really tired, and he just wanted peace and quiet. And so we had a lot of peace and quiet there. It was beautiful, surrounded by rice paddies. You couldn't hear anything except the morning Dharma talk that came over the loudspeakers in the local village. They would give everybody a pep talk to start their day. I have no idea what they said, but it was good vibes. And other than that, you just couldn't hear anything because we were surrounded by rice paddies. And we went back to Chiang Mai for a shopping experience. It was Sunday, and we went early. The Sunday market is the big market to go to in Chiang Mai. There are tens of thousands of people that go to the market on Sunday evening because that's their shopping time. They're going to get ready for the week, buy their food, buy whatever things that they need, and they do it at the market in Chiang Mai. So we got a ride into Chiang Mai and got out of the cab. It was like 11:30, 12 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden we heard these drums and horns, and these people were marching down the street, and they had the Buddhist monks in their saffron robes, and they are playing, and there are all these people, and we just got out of the car, so John and I looked at each other and went, let's go, let's go. So we got in line, and we're walking, and the Thai woman in front of us is, dance. So we're dancing, walking through the streets of Chiang Mai, and then they go into what it looks just like a hole in the wall, and they go into their local temple. And what I learned afterwards is that this is a countrywide celebration of the end of Buddhist Lent. Buddhist Lent? What is that? Buddhist Lent. Well, in Buddhism, not to be confused with Christianity's Lent, which starts on Ash Wednesday and takes you through Easter, and it's all about what are you going to give up for Lent. Buddhists don't do that. What Buddhists do for Lent is they say, we would like to encourage you to meditate a little bit more over these 3 months and to be more mindful. Okay, that doesn't hurt. Okay, we can do that. And the thing that came up for me is that Buddhist Lent started, Buddha was 500 years before Jesus, and Christianity didn't pick up Lent until about 800 years after that. So the Buddhists had well over 1,000 years on the Christians with this idea of Lent. And the reason that they started it was that the monks did not used to hang out in temples and monasteries. They were nomads. They were wanderers. And what would happen is at the beginning of the monsoons of the rainy season, the monks in their travels, they would go to your house and they would sit down with you and they would teach you and you would feed them and they would go somewhere else. The monks were trampling the brand newly planted rice fields. Isn't it funny how religion takes something so mundane and everyday and turns it into this big thing? So what happened was the farmers all got together and they said, if you're going to trample our rice fields, you're going to have to pay us for the rice that didn't grow. So the monks decided that they would no longer trample the rice fields and that this idea of Lent, Buddhist Lent, is a time when the monks would stay still. Now back then it would be they'd stay still in the forest or they'd stay still somewhere, and it didn't take long for them to build something to stay still in. And what happens is that for 3 months during the rainy season in Thailand, the monks are stable and the people come to them, and they come to them in great numbers. And the monks teach the people. Instead of going to their homes and teaching one-on-one, they teach them en masse. It's not about giving something up. It's about how can we all do this better. It gave the elder monks an opportunity to work with the novice monks and teach them individually, which created a better class of monks. Buddhist monk, but Buddhist Lent. But when the Lenten is over, there is big celebrations all across the country, and that's what we stumbled into. So here we are, sitting in a temple filled with people on these little plastic chairs on Sunday morning going, oh my gosh, we went to church. Now this ceremony took 2 hours, but they did pass out drinks in the middle because it's not air conditioned, so they'll give you things to drink. But one of the traditions is that they give the monks new robes. And whoops, I'm going the wrong direction here. No, Barbara. What happened? Okay. Hey, I know, but then I go backwards. Yeah, so Pat, will you take me back to where I was? Because I'm totally confused about this clicker. Back up. Okay, right there. Any of those. Thank you. That's great. So there are money trees. Once a year, the village comes together to support the monks financially. They bring them brand new robes, and it is much hoopla. And I sat there and thought, are we so different? Really, are we so different that we gather? We gather in support of our spiritual connection. We gather in support of our family. And there was lots of chanting, and lots of meditating and lots of wonderful vibes going on. Here they are giving the robes and blessing. And at the very end, they passed out these bracelets. These bracelets are very sacred to the Buddhists in Thailand. They have been blessed by the monks, and they have been woven in very conscious intention that this makes you family. If someone is coming into a family, they're given a bracelet with ceremony. If someone is part of a spiritual community, they're given a bracelet in ceremony. And you put the bracelet on, and what it brings with it is an intention for health and prosperity and love, and it's a visual sign that you belong, that these are your peeps, that this is your family. So John and I are continuing on through the day, and we went to another temple where you get to light candles, and you know I love fire. So I got the candle, and I lit it, and I did a blessing on all of us. And the most amazing thing happened after that blessing. We wandered in to a door and saw this beautiful altar set up. And John and I we have a history of, if we're gone, we're going to bring you back a present. And those of you who've been around for a while, about 15 years ago, we brought back little hearts, hand-woven hearts from Mexico with affirmations in them. They didn't come with affirmations. John stayed up most of the night typing them and cutting them and stuffing them. When we were in Maui, we brought back leis. When we were in Sydney, we brought back boomerangs. Does anybody remember the boomerangs? What goes out comes back. And so we had wanted to bring something that signified the blessings that we hold in Science of Mind, that this life is blessed, we are healthy, we are wealthy, we are loved, we belong, we are part of something that is greater than all of us because we are community and we are family. And so we got some presents to give you, but in the meantime, we walked into this room, and who comes out but the head monk? The head monk. And so we're talking to him, and he took our gifts to you, and he blessed them. And he blessed them. It wasn't a quick blessing. They were really good with time there, and not in a hurry. He blessed them. And then he gave us these necklaces. And then he blessed us, which in Buddhist tradition, and it's good in Thailand that you're always ready for rain, because they bring out a bowl of water with a bunch of whisks made out of bamboo, and they throw water on you. And that's your blessing. You get wet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I want to share with you the wristbands that we purchased at the temple in Chiang Mai and that were blessed by the head monk as a way of reminding us that this life is a blessing, that we are meant to prosper, we are meant to be healthy and happy and whole, and that we belong to each other. That we belong to each other, that we have an outer symbol. You can put it on you or not, depending on whatever you want to do, but that there is something that binds us. And these are the bracelets. So I'm going to ask the prosperity acceptors to come forward. And they're going to pass the baskets just like they do when you're putting something in it, only this time you're going to take something out of it. And I encourage you to just take the one that you touch. That's the perfect and right one for you. And to let it be okay if someone is not here, that's okay. Just take the one for you that is yours. So go ahead and start passing these out. And as we do, I'm just going to go over some of these quotes that Buddha has so in alignment with the teachings of Science of Mind. Much of our roots are in Hinduism, and Buddhism comes from Hinduism. So some of these things might sound very familiar. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Happiness will never come to those who fail to appreciate what they already have. Be in your gratitude. Happiness does not depend on what you have or who you are. It solely relies on what you think. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them for good or for ill. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I've heard this quoted to so many people, and it was Buddha. All that we are is the result of all that we have fought. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. When the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. There are two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Happiness does not depend on what you have or who you are. It solely relies on what you think. That's a duplicate, but I think it's appropriate. And then back to the mind is everything. What you think, you become. I want to do a blessing, an acknowledgement on these wristbands, because they may seem like simple string. Notice that I got the rainbow colored ones.
Yes.
Yes. But what they are is a symbol. They are a symbol of the love that ties us to each other. And so whether you have it tied on or whether you're holding it in your hand, it doesn't really matter. What I know is that this outer symbol is a blessing because it is the reflection of the love that we share. This Center for Spiritual Living Asheville is something special. This science of mind teaching that inspires us and uplifts us to be all that we are meant to be, to remember the God essence that we are, is something special. And so we hold this wristband, this bracelet, as the outer symbol of that special experience that we share with each other, that we get to partake in, of the ways that our lives change and get better and better and better as we continue to put ourselves in the energy and the vibration of truth. So every time we see this or touch it, we are reminded of that blessing of this center, of this teaching, and of all that we are, of the power within us to create our lives and to do it in a way that is uplifting and healthy and happy and whole. So I know that these are blessed. I know that we are blessed. I know that this center is blessed. And in that blessing, I just let this go, knowing that all is well. And so it is. It's very good to be home. Thank you. I would like to invite our